So what about abortion?
Oh, abortion is a that's the big issue right now on social media. I'm seeing a lot about it. Um, Abortion is complicated. Everybody has their own situation. There are some situations that are predominant more than others, but everybody has their own unique uh, reason as to why they would get abortion. And let me just make this clear. You know, I'm not condemning anybody that has had one, but it's a serious decision. You know, it's a serious one.
But it's their body. Do you agree with the new laws?
There's a new law. Yeah, I heard the new law. Okay, I'm gonna say something. It's a new law with the abortion, right? They banning it, and is it every country? I don't know. Okay, I'll tell you two stories, two quick stories, because abortion deals with the conscience, right? Do you do you know that there's an organization that's going around to certain abortion clinics that allow, and what they do is, say there's a young lady, she's gonna come in, she's decided to get an abortion. This agency comes in and does a sonogram right before the young lady gets an abortion. And they actually, because a lot of abortion clinics don't they don't show, they don't show the patient the sonogram before they get it. Somehow, they kind of keep that sonogram away. So what this organization does, and this is interesting as to why abortion may not be the right thing to do. So this young lady, she's going to get an abortion. This organization, who is pro-life, they come in and they show the young lady who's about to get an abortion a sonogram, right? 80 to 85% of young ladies who see the sonogram who are going to get the abortion decide not to get the abortion after seeing the sonogram. So you get it? It's like they've made a decision. I don't know, what were their circumstances of how they conceive. It's got to be a whole bunch of situations of how they conceive the baby. But the point is, something speaks to the conscience after they see the sonogram, after they see the heartbeat, after they see the baby sucking his thumb, after they see movement, no matter how small it is. The sonogram reveals that it is a life. And all I'm saying is, it's very interesting how 80 to 85% of young ladies who see the sonogram before the abortion decide not to get the abortion. So there's something that goes on in here, in the heart, that connects with the mind. And once they connect, 80 to 85% of these young ladies decide not to get the abortion. There's another story. Real quick, I'm going to just say, I know of two ladies who were arguing over a baby. And this is interesting. They were arguing over whose baby it was. I want you to listen to me clearly. These two ladies are fighting over a baby, and the president of that time had to be pro-choice. I'm sorry. He had to be pro-life. So the two ladies took the case to the president. Let's say to the president, to the judge. And the judge sat down, and because he could not really, figure out who the baby was, at this time they didn't have the DNA test. This is long time ago. The judge said to the two young ladies, you know what? Both of you are arguing, saying that it's your baby, which is impossible, I'm going to cut this baby in half. And you can have one half of the baby and you can have the other half of the baby. And that's going to be it. So both of you will have half of the baby. One of the young ladies said, okay, cut the baby in half. I'll take my half and she can take her other half. The other young lady said, you know what? No, don't do that. I want this baby to live. And whether I believe it's mine, but it is a life. So instead of cutting the baby in half, give her the baby. Do you know that the president of that time, the judge, gave the baby to the one who was pro-life rather than the one who said, well, kill the baby? I'd rather the baby not live than for her to get it or for her. That says a lot. The judge gave the baby to the young lady who did not want the baby to die. The young lady who cared more about that baby's life and would rather give it over, just to say, to an adoption agency, which would be probably the better, which would be, it's not a probably. I'm gonna stay out on a limb. The other lady said, I'll give the baby over to the adoption agency rather than see the baby die. So the judge gave the lady who wanted the baby to live, he gave that baby to that lady. That's just interesting. Every time I hear that story and I re-examine it over and over in my mind, I just feel that God is pro-life.
So do you have any abortions under your belt?
I do. I have when I think I was about 19 years old, I had this young lady. She was my girlfriend, and she conceived, and I had a job. I had been on my job maybe 3 or 4 years. Whether I was 100% capable of caring for that child or not, and her too, I can't tell. I know that she, against my own recommendation, against my wishes, she went and had the baby. And she was a pretty young lady, and it haunts me. That had to be like 1994, 1995. And she went and had an abortion against my wishes. She went to I don't know, it was Planned Parenthood or somewhere. She had an abortion, and it hurt me deeply. And here we are, 2019, and it haunts me. You know, she had chinky eyes. She was light skinned. She had freckles, and I'm dark skinned, so I don't think my eyes are chinky. So I sit up some nights and I wonder how the baby would have looked, how he or she would have turned out. Would they be by now an aspiring doctor or a prolific speaker or a writer or a singer or something like that? We get these abortions and we don't know what we're aborting. We don't know. This baby could have been, you know, the next president, the next astronaut. So that's just one of the things that haunted me. Then there was another one. Unfortunately, I was pretty loose with it, and there was another young lady. Maybe the first one was 94, and the second one was I believe maybe like about 1997, and this was another young lady, and this one was different and even more heartbreaking because I had sat up all night with this young lady and tried to talk her out of getting the abortion. And at this time, I was a more well-known speaker. I was just now coming up, and people were starting to recognize me as one of the great gifts coming up. I was local, but I was coming up, and it would have really tarnished my integrity as a speaker at that time. And I still went against what probably my organization would have wanted me to do. And I wanted her to have that baby. You know, I wanted her to have that baby. And whatever her reasoning was, I just remember her friend, I sat and spoke with her from like 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, because that morning she was supposed to have the abortion. Her appointment was that morning. And I tried with all my heart to to keep her from having that baby. I mean, to keep her from having that abortion. We had a great relationship, and I don't think it was I don't know what it was, but I think she had a friend that kind of coached her into getting the abortion. I mean, she was a celebrity hairstylist. She did a couple of celebrities' hair. She was financially well off. By this time, I was even more financially capable than I was on the first abortion. So now again, I'm haunted by and heartbroken by what this baby would have become, what it would have looked like. It could have been, I mean, if Obama had been aborted, if Martin Luther King had been aborted, if Robert Kennedy, or all these great gifts, these musical gifts. If J. Cole had been aborted, Jay-Z, Beyonce, if they would have been aborted, we would have never experienced seeing these gifts. These are people that inspired other people to become who they are today. So, I spoke to her all that night. Franklin Graham, all these other. You don't know what you're aborting. That's what I'm saying. Despite if you were raped, if you were not in a good place in life at the time, if you hated the person, the guy, despite the terrible circumstance that could have caused you to conceive, the child, the life inside of you doesn't know. And they, this is not to make anyone feel bad about it. I'm presenting another option. And these two young ladies who had these abortions from me, I pray for them, because it's another thing that a lot of women who have these abortions, they undergo a lot of counsel. They go into depression, because I think there's something that goes on in here, and our Creator doesn't let us rest well. Because, just another example, if a young lady is driving down the street and a car hits her, if she's pregnant and the car hits her, if she's 1 month, 2 months, 3 weeks, 4 weeks pregnant, and a car hits her and unfortunately kills her and the child inside, the baby, it's a double homicide. If it hits her, drunken driver hits her, it's a double homicide. So that's the law recognizing that baby inside her womb is a baby. It's a living being. Once the sperm hits the egg, life begins. So it's not a glob of tissue. It's not a glob of muscle. It's life. So I'm not trying to hammer down on these two ladies in my life that have had abortion. I'm well aware of the fact that a lot of ladies want to have the baby, and maybe it's the man that presses upon her so much that she, against her wishes, she goes and have the abortion. Maybe he makes her feel bad. I know a young lady that was her situation. She wanted to have it. The man threatened her in so many ways and persuaded her in so many ways that she went and got the abortion. And once again, she underwent a lot of counsel because she was haunted. I mean, it's something that our Creator knocks on the door of our hearts. And he's not knocking on the door of your heart because there was a glob of tissue that you just got out. That's a tumor. That's a cyst. He's knocking at the door of your heart after an abortion, and he's causing you to not have total peace because it was a life. And God is pro-life. And now I'm hearing, another thing I'm hearing is that they're changing the term from pro-life to anti-choice. So they're making it more like, they're making like the pro-lifers, the term is like more repugnant. Like it's more offensive. Oh, you're anti-choice. So you see how the terminology is more offensive, which in turn makes the pro-lifer sounds more, as like he or she's a bad person. So I got these two young ladies in my life who have gotten abortions, and of course I forgive them. Some of you watching this video might say, well, if you forgive them about, it's their choice. You're not forgiving them. You have the power. I hate to put that kind of sentiment on it, but I just wonder. So there's a question mark in my mind. Of course, it's not all of them. I believe that they conceived those children out of wedlock, and that was something that I'm not too proud of. But I know God is a forgiving God, and He forgives both having a child out of wedlock and also getting an abortion. But I'm just presenting to the world another choice that you can make, another option. And it's always wise to go through all of your options. And adoption agency is a great option because they're capable, loving parents.
Do you believe men should have a say-so? Legally?
Should men have a say-so? That's very, very complicated. Very complicated. I hate the fact that there's even a choice. So as far as men having a say-so, that's complicated because I wish I had a say-so. Yeah, I think they should. Because I'm re-examining.
But it's not your body.
That's true. It's more than it's just my body. It's a life. So even if it's my body, if it's not my body, I'm still called to be a protector of the unborn, the innocent and unborn. And to take it on a bigger scale, there's three things that God is for: Israel, life, and marriage. So even if it's not my choice, even if it's not my body, and there's a young lady that has conceived by me, and we go to court, and the court gives me a voice in it to where I could alter the choice for her to get an abortion, I would like that. But now that would complicate things because there are men that will go out there and trap a chick by telling her, "Oh, I'm putting on a condom," and then he puts a hole in it, and he intentionally gets her pregnant for the wrong reasons. He doesn't do it because he wants to have a loving family and become her, be her husband, and become a great father and raise that child, in the fear of God, and that child become a lawyer or something that's great to the community. He just wants to hurt that child, that young lady. So now it becomes complicated as to whether or not the man should have a choice. But above all that, even if that man's intention is to destroy that woman's life by giving her a child and abandoning her, I still think that God has the last say so. Like, we look at the situation as, oh, she did it because of this, but that may be a temporary situation that she's making a permanent decision on. So you got raped, you had the baby at an early age. You don't know what God has planned. We don't know what God has planned. So that's just, I was, I'll normally end it with it's Quint's advice, but that's just Quint's giving you another option and presenting my thoughts on it. I love all of you. Pro-abortion and pro-lifers. I love you all as much as I love dark chocolate and red wine. More than I love dark chocolate and red wine. God bless. Peace out.